Hi folks, and welcome back to the channel. And yes, you can hear two things right now. Probably two typhoons doing a bit of air practicing, and my diesel heater, it's a bit chilly. But yeah, gonna do some tinkering with the van today. The Rolling Rocks turned up, having a shufty at their new van. And Stu, being a chippy and everything, says, if you got anything I need help with, and obviously he can give me a bit of advice. So I'm going to chew his ear off about a few things that obviously next phases with the van, literally like the kitchen area, basically a few little niggles. So I'm going to ask him about them and go through options about what I can do and how he suggests doing it. The problem we had with this is when it was fitted, the worktop only just about overhung over the top, which meant that there was no space to actually hang doors on the front. So Stu come up with a great idea, which was take it out, which is what we've done, and then trim off the back a small amount like that, so that we can push it further back, so that when we put the original worktop back on top, there's going to be a bigger gap there, so I can hang doors on it, and the doors will still fit underneath the worktop overhang. So there we go. And apparently when I was cutting it wasn't fast enough, so Mr. Speed Demon needed to get all of the tools, which is fair enough because I did like loads of little pieces and he just did one big piece, so I'll let him off for that. So with the top fitted back in its original place, which does fit nicely,
you now have more of an overhang.
yeah,
So by the time now you put your doors on, you're going to be out to about here, so you don't want too much of an overhang.
right,
We normally work with about 25mm
okay,
overhang.
well, and then the doors take up less than that, so you've got like a few mil left over.
So you want your doors to be inside the overhang of the worktop, and it just looks neat then. But you can now do a surface mounted door instead of an inset door.
Yeah, so they all match up with all the cupboards and that now.
Yeah, that'd be good.
And then we need to work on this. A couple of things. Looks like the freezer leaks, so I might need to tank that and seal it. And then the other problem we had is that that bottom drawer catches as it comes out, so the weight of the freezer catches on the floor. I noticed that the front of the drawer that the freezer's on, it's got a bit of water staining on it, and I noticed that underneath. All we're doing at the moment is trying to raise this up a bit so it doesn't catch on the floor. So because of the damp that was getting into the wood at the bottom of the freezer drawer, I've basically just put some polythene on there for now, just to collect the moisture, and then obviously every few days I'll just take it out and dry the moisture up. So I'm trying to get the internal temperature of my van to be a comfortable temperature for me, which means that the thermal properties of the insulation of this are working really hard, because I want it at like, plus 18, 19 degrees, and it's trying to get the internal temperature of this to minus 17. So the difference is like 40 degrees, and that's just getting condensation, and that's all that is. It's not leaking, it's not faulty or anything, it's just the fact that a 40-degree difference and it's building up condensation, sorry. So I just need to work out how I manage this. But ultimately this is now about 7.5 mil higher. So the runners at the bottom have been adjusted so that sits well off the floor, so it doesn't contact the floor anymore, which does mean there's now a healthy gap underneath there. If I get my hand and everything underneath there, so there's airflow underneath there as well. So hopefully the condensation, like I say, it will be in the polythene that I've placed in the tray, but also everything underneath there can get air to it, which should help with it as well. It's been nice having Stu in the workshop. Stu is from the Rolling Rocks, by the way, and they've just built a van, which is Vangelis VW Crafter, like a 20 plate one. So it's been interesting comparing obviously what they've done in their build and what I've done and what Mandy's done. So a few little hints and tips on carpentry and carpentry tools and things like that. I just wanted to know, obviously from the work I had done before I went to Ukraine, what I could do with cupboard doors, and some of the fit and finish of what was done, how that would allow me to make other changes. So it's nice to get him to go through that kind of stuff. So yeah, now whilst everything's apart in my van, I thought I'd go through and make some tiny little changes to the electrics, to the area under the kitchen sink. Right then, so we've got some Arctic Blue mains cable. So that's mega chunky and good quality. So that's going to give mains power to a little socket I'm going to put up on the wall there. So that's going to run through the bed frame, back over the other side, down through the EcoFlow power system, and over to the back there to the distribution panel. And then the other cable I've got, which is 2.5mm 12-volt cable, which is basically going to run roughly the same sort of way, and that is to power the fridge, because I've also got a cable down there like that, which I've currently been splitting between the fridge and freezer, but apparently it's not enough power for them. So what's actually happening on here now and again is it'll come up with an F1 error, fault 1, and that is basically saying that there's not enough voltage coming through. So it likes to see a minimum of 12.5 volts. And when this and the fridge share the same 12-volt cable, albeit that that cable is 16.5 amp rated, and the most I've seen on both of these drawers about 8 to 9 amps, the downside is that they're actually detecting a big drop in the volts. So it's coming down to like 11.2, 11.3, even though the amps are the right kind of like rating for the cable run and then trying to share the cable's power delivery at the end obviously isn't working out for these. So I'm going to put in another 2.5mm 12-volt cable to power the fridge, which will sit up there once I put its tray back in, and its cable recovery system. Right, much later on, got the water back working again on the waste. Kind of neaten things up a little bit, taking a lot of the excess off the back of the fridge and freezer cables. Obviously it needs that much excess to allow it to go in and out, and then just neaten the cables across the top. This is still a work in progress. Basically I just want to leave it as is. I need a light up there for now. It's not great, but I'm going to look at another solution. But I need to finish this cupboard off and work out what I'm doing with the wiring. So for now, and given the fact that we're going away tomorrow, that does fine. So for now we have water and the drain's working okay. I can confirm as well, everything was totally dry under there. So with all my travels and everything else, no water has come out of the tops or anything like that. It's all been fairly dry. I'll probably jinx myself now, but yeah, there you go. A few of you were really intrigued as well. In the last video I said I'd do a new review on the toilet. Well, I'm in my poo palace, so you never know. I'll get off my poo palace now. It's a very nice poo palace though. Yeah, things are happening again with the van build. Obviously I've had a bit of a break, you know, a bit of a trip and stuff like that, but what I intend to do over the next week is start working on cabinets. Couple of little issues I've found, but I'm gonna have to work around them. But yeah, hopefully get the cabinets on this side done. Again, this is all a learning curve, just a bit of a play around with the thickness of wood, the type of wood, and construction, because a lot of people do it one way, and obviously it's me, so I'm going to do it a different way, aren't I? Yeah, I'm going to do it in a way that obviously I need it to be lightweight. It needs to be strong as well. The cupboards, cabinets, lockers, whatever you call them, they need to be strong, but they need to be lightweight because they're up top. And the fixing points that I've got as well from the ceiling and the back wall, obviously I need to bear in mind when I construct my cupboard that I make the most of where those fixings are, so I can go up to the ceiling and back into the wall and get the right fixing point. And I mean, I make this sound really complicated, like hundreds of people a week building vans, and they don't make it complicated. I'm just vocalizing what's going through my brain, really. So yeah, hopefully during next week a bit of cupboard constructions going on. But like I said, this weekend we're away with friends, so there's going to be a bit of a gap in that kind of stuff anyway for this weekend. Hopefully next week there'll be a video on John and Mandy's channel about going away, wherever we go. I think it's down south somewhere anyway. I don't know yet, I'm not privy to that information. Right, so thanks for watching, and catch you later. Bye.